So, I've got a pretty decent whiskey collection. Now, I'm not saying it's as big as some folks here in Kentucky, but I've got a few bottles worth showing off. Before I go adding more to the shelf, I need to finish off some of the ones I already have. You know, my friend and Bourbon Hall of Famer, Freddie Johnson, always says bourbon is more than just a drink. It's about the stories we create while sharing it with others. Each episode of Last Pour is my way of honoring that idea by sharing the stories behind the bottles as I enjoy their very last pour. And today's guest of honor is Buffalo Trace, but not just the regular Buffalo Trace, it's a single barrel that I purchased from Party Town here in Florence, Kentucky. A phenomenal whiskey. Buffalo Trace is one of my favorite distilleries because it was the first Kentucky distillery I ever visited. Heather and I visited Frankfurt probably, 10 years ago now, and Buffalo Trace was the first distillery we went to. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with Kentucky. It's the reason I'm here now. But what can you say about Buffalo Trace? It's the longest continuously operating distillery in America. They produce phenomenal products. It's just an overall awesome place. Let's dive into this. It's probably a little bit more than a last pour, but that's okay. We'll take care of it. Right off the bat, right off the nose, I get a lot of, vanilla caramel sweetness. And again, you guys probably know this, but this is their flagship product. So it's not their high end, it's not their low end. It's their flagship product, but it has such character to it. It has such a beautiful nose to it. And I get a lot. I always, in addition to the baking spices and the sugar and the caramel and the honey and the stuff like that you get off of a whiskey like this, I also get a lot of fruit. I get a lot of fruit off of this. Stone fruit kind of off the nose anyway. The thing about traditional Buffalo Trace is it's a 90 proof. Even this single barrel is 90 proof. Those same notes that you smell in the beginning, you taste those same notes. It's a wonderful bourbon. It's a wonderful starter bourbon. It's a wonderful, I've been in it for 10 or 11 years now. It's a great bourbon, but man, and the longer it sits there, the longer it finishes, the sweeter it gets to me. But I still get a lot of fruit off of it. I still get a lot of fruit off of the nose and the back end. One of the things that I love to do when I finish a pour, I like to let my glass air out a little bit. And there's probably a technical name for this, but I call it the after-nose. It's after it's all gone, the liquid's gone, and all you have is the residual scent left over in your glass. To me, Buffalo Trace has one of the best after scents of any bourbon. To me, this is where the fruit comes out. It's really fruity now. Still got that sweetness, but man, I love to. My wife probably makes fun of me more than she should, but after I drink a pour at night, I will sit and sniff the glass for like 30 minutes. I just love that after the finished scent or whatever you want to call it. Oh man. Going back to Buffalo Trace though, one of the reasons it is so special in this bottle, not this bottle particularly, I didn't buy it, like I said, I bought this years later, but anytime I drink Buffalo Trace, it just reminds me of what an awesome place it is. It reminds me that, you know, when you look at the bourbon industry and you had Prohibition, then if that wasn't enough, that didn't knock Buffalo Trace out. Then in the 80s, you had the bourbon bust where nobody was drinking bourbon, and many brands and distilleries did shutter or almost shuttered, and they weathered that storm. And so Buffalo Trace is the poster child for resiliency in the bourbon industry, and I think they just get better and better. And so every time I drink this, I think about that first distillery tour that Heather and I took, the weekend we had here in Frankfurt. I think about my buddies that I've met throughout, all the people that I've met throughout my time in this industry that work at Buffalo Trace or has something to do with Buffalo Trace. I mean, I think about them. And so here is a toast to my wife, who not only obliged me that weekend coming up here, touring. We went to Buffalo Trace, we went to Woodford Reserve. Not only did my wife oblige me, but she was not a bourbon fan at the time. She didn't like the taste of bourbon. She didn't like anything about bourbon. But she allowed us to move to Kentucky to pursue my dream of, being filming and doing stuff in the bourbon industry. So here's cheers to her. Here's a cheers to first time distillery tours, whatever that tour is. Comment below on what your first tour was. What distillery was your first tour? Here's a cheers to that. Here's a cheers to resiliency for Buffalo Trace, making it all the way through Prohibition, through the bourbon bust. Here's a cheers to just the history of bourbon. And I mentioned earlier that I've been working on a film for Frankfort, Kentucky, and about their bourbon industry. And some of the richest history comes from Frankfort, Kentucky. Some of the richest history comes from Buffalo Trace. So here's to all that. That's it for Last Pour. Whether it's your first favorite or your latest discovery, make sure you enjoy it while it lasts. See you next time.